I've got a problem. A gambling problem? My gambling problem is I become too obsessed with gambling manga. Also blackjack.
15.
Hit me.
23.
Fuck! Gambling manga are always a really fun ride. They've got high stakes, actual consequences if it's good, and usually some form of mahjong, which I'm gonna learn one of these days. Now, I know what you're thinking. Gamble fish? Who wants to watch a fish gamble? Well, first off, shut the fuck up. We all want to watch a fish gamble. Unfortunately, that's not what this manga is about. It's one of those metaphorical titles where the gambling fish are suckers who are getting reeled in like a fish. I don't do a lot of fishing. And despite the fact that I'd absolutely be down for a Finding Nemo sequel set in Las Vegas, this manga is still pretty good. Gamblefish is a manga that ran from 2007 to 2010 in Weekly Shonen Champion. This is the same magazine that gave us Kaiji, which, if you know your gambling manga lore, is one of the forefathers of gambling manga and the inspiration for a lot of them today. And if Kaiji is the father of modern gambling manga, then Gamblefish is the rich uncle who always sends you pictures of his sword collection. It's like, it's not that important. It's still pretty cool, right? Here is the premise of Gamblefish. We follow gambling prodigy Tomu Shirasagi as he enters a privileged school for rich assholes and vows to turn 100 yen into 10 billion yen in only a month. He plans to achieve this by doubling the wager each time. That's fucking cool, right? I'd read that. I didn't read that. That's not what happens. You see, this is part of the design philosophy of Gamblefish. It sets up this interesting premise and then just fucking goes off doing whatever the hell it wants. Like, we start off with Tomu going, I'll double the 100 yen to 200 yen. And Muscle McGee over here walks in and says, make it 10,000. As if the author just realized he had like 3 chapters left and he had to wrap it up. He didn't, by the way. Just to be clear, he made over 160 more chapters. So I don't know why the sudden jump. Maybe a close friend of his was suddenly killed by exponential growth. Point is, it didn't happen. Abandoned plot devices aside, it does have story. It basically follows a Gamble of the Week format, where Tomu is facing off against a different opponent in a different activity, where he has to learn a new way to cheat. As these stories get introduced and get progressively longer, we get little tidbits about an overarching story that Tomu is a part of, the real reason he's at the school. This overarching story is Tomu trying to find what happened to his missing father, and his growing rivalry with the vice dean of the school, Abadani. These plot lines aren't exactly well written, and as evidenced by that whole abandoned doubling yen thing, probably not planned too well, but by God are they entertaining. Main character-wise, we got some pretty great ones. The villainous Abadani is one of the most entertaining and unhinged villains I've ever had the pleasure to follow. Seriously, this bald elf single-handedly changes the dynamic of the entire manga. Nosferatu here cuts the finger off of the main character in the first 10 chapters. His design and personality seem like they would go with a villain who gets beat up and killed off in the first chapter of a different manga. But in this manga, he is the main villain. Did he just lick that kid? Is this Bruno Bucciaretti's long-lost cousin, Creepo Creeparelli? Not a great joke, but this bald fuck is throwing me off. And Tomu is no slouch when it comes to entertaining my ass either. He's very calm and collected in a lot of situations that would make other people snap, and his crazy calm demeanor is just so fun to watch. Remember when I said he gets his finger cut off in the first 10 chapters? This is a ploy to help his gamble pay off. He purposely loses his upper hand to gain the upper hand. That is a top-tier joke, and you better subscribe because of that, because that is what you're gonna get more of. So, thank you. Point is, Tomu is a player, man. He has a love of the game that cannot be matched except by Abadani. Unfortunately, the side characters don't have the sheer charisma that Tomu and Abadani do. They either exist as exposition to explain what Tomu is doing, or to give him an idea of how to beat a gamble, or they're part of his harem. Usually after he beats a woman in a duel, they join his harem. Unfortunately, it is one of those manga with tons of fan service. Honestly, it's enough to put you off. If that's something that puts you off, I would not recommend this. I read this the first time 10 years ago and reread it, so I sort of tuned it out, and the gambling was fun enough to tune it out. But my main point is, the side characters don't get in the way, but they don't really add anything. One thing I like about this manga is the wishy-washy tone. Something that would be a detriment to any other manga, but something about this manga makes it work. On one hand, you got these deadly serious gambles with information or lives at stake. On the other hand, you got these stupid moments, the stupidest moments I've ever seen with some of the stupidest dialogue I've ever heard. An example of this is Obama is in this manga. So he's in and he's gambling at a high school. He's gambling for America's sake, right? It's actually kind of touching. He puts his life on the line. I don't want him to die, even if it's a fictional version. Then he wagers the entire country's GDP on this gamble in some guy's basement. It's ridiculous. And that sums up what is right with Gamblefish. For example, you might have a character say something like this: "Magic is light, and gambling is darkness." Who wrote that shit? Or maybe this: "She's the proud daughter of a magician. A stretcher wouldn't suit her, would it?" What the fuck does that mean? A proud daughter of a magician can't have access to basic medical equipment? Because she likes her dad's job, she has to be carried by you. I don't know about that one, Tomu. There are moments in the series where he's up against a professional in an activity he's never played before, and people are telling him, "Hey man, you're gonna lose, that's a professional, and you've never even picked up a pool stick." And he goes, "Yes, I would lose if it wasn't for the fact that this is gambling, not technically the sport they're playing. If it was the sport, they'd win. But it's gambling, so I'll win." Which, that is some of the stupidest logic I've ever heard in my life. But god damn is it cool. And then Tomu gets to sound even cooler by walking up to his beaten opponent and going, "You didn't lose as a pool player or a magician. You lost as a gambler. So you're still really good at what you do." The man lays it on thick, all right? Say what you want about the fan service, but you understand when you hear lines like that. And the art really helps exemplify the corniness. It's very sharp angles, very shadowed, very dramatic posing, and it just fits so well with the stupid shit. The main problem with this manga, though, is that the ending is very abrupt, feels kind of unfinished. I don't know, it honestly feels a bit like sequel bait, and it's very reminiscent of manga during those times that are like, we don't know how to end this, and we're just gonna give a generic, and they'll continue on forevermore kind of feel. Despite the ending, though, and the fan service, the corny, dramatic storytelling provided me some of the most fun I've ever had in years. This is a great manga if you're having a bad day and you just want absurdity to fill your lungs and cheer you up. I can't recommend it enough for that. And I'd bet you that that's worth a read. Speaking of bet, 3. Yeah, hit me. 27. Fuck. Wait, what?